Watch me wreck the night. Watch me wreck the night. Psycho! Simon, oh, not you. I thought I sent you home. Well, I've not finished my act yet, you see. You're a sensation with the ladies all over the world. Yes, I am. Just tell me, can you let me in on your little secret? Well, I speak different languages. Really? Can you speak Spanish? Can you? No. How am I going to do it then? I'll tell you what. I'm going to count to 10 in English and then you translate. Okay, let's see what you got. 1, 1, 2, 3, hang on. What? This isn't going to work. Why not? You're going to count to 10? Yes. How do I know when you get to 6? Is this going to hurt? No. Look at it. Amanda! Shut up, Louis. That's not Louis. No. It looks just like him. No, it's not him. Amanda, I got the oil ready. Okay. Simon, I'm a celebrity. Get me out of here. Anita. Oh, Simon. Listen to me. Yes. You two are always together. That's because we go together so well. Oh. We go together like da-da-da-ding-a-dong, together forever. Shoot-a-shoot-a-ding-a-dong, cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha. We'll always be as one. Whoa, 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 whoa. And it's a big fat kiss. Unbelievable. Well done, Steve. Brilliant.
Hello, my name is Landon Harvey. Welcome to Landon Live. And tonight, we have our first ventriloquist from the UK, Steve Hewlett. Steve, how are you doing tonight?
I made it. Hi, Landon. Do you know what I'm thinking when I'm watching that clip? I'm thinking, I've still got that suit. I've still got it. I can't get in it. And it's my goal in after lockdown to try and get back into that suit because I've turned into a chef and I've been eating all of the evidence. So,
yeah, I think everyone has.
Great to see you, Landon.
Oh, great to see you too. Let's just get right into it. What was your early inspiration in ventriloquism? Did you start off as a ventriloquist? What's your story?
I did. It's all I've ever done. So I was 12 years old. I was watching a television show in England. It was a British ventriloquist. And the only reason I sat down to watch it was because he lived 5 minutes from my house. So I sat down and it was a TV talent show, like America's Got Talent, Britain's Got Talent, but it was called New Faces back then. And a ventriloquist called Jimmy Tamley won the whole show. He won the whole thing. And so I knocked on his door the next day on the way to school. I was 12 years old in 1987. And I said, will you teach me what you do? And he said, no, go away. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. It was because it was on the way to school. And I did learn this in later years that you don't knock on an entertainer's door at 8 o'clock in the morning before you go to school. You wait till after school. I respect that now. He's got me back since. Because I became godfather to his children, and he used to let them, when I used to stay over, he used to let them wake me up whatever time they wanted to. So he's got his own back. But Jimmy Tamley, I spoke to him yesterday. We're best of friends even today, and it's like 33 years ago since that moment. But so I was inspired by him. But just after he won New Faces, Ron Lucas came over to the UK, and he had a hit TV show for 4 years. Called the Ron Lucas Show, and I went to meet Ron I got a little gift actually so because he had like 4 TV series over here, I was like really in awe of Ron Lucas, because he was on every week, you know. I think it was like 6 episodes, and then there was like 4 seasons, and I got a little Scorch watch, which I treasure, which is
that's super neat.
Yeah, an amazing gift. He gave that to his friends back then, so I think I got it from a friend of a friend of a friend of Ron. But so Ron Lucas and Jimmy Townley really started me off inspiration-wise. Ron was the first ventriloquist I recorded. It was, you might not know this, Landon, but we had VHS recording tapes. There's no CDs or downloading.
Yeah, my parents say the same thing to me. They're like, we had this thing called a VHS tape. Yeah,
that's it. It was VHS or NTSC, I think you had over there. And so I recorded Ron Lucas. The first thing I recorded was him, and then the next week there was another ventriloquist on this TV show with Jim Davidson called Wednesday at 8, and it was David Strassman. And then the following week they had Jay Johnson. So I saw three top American ventriloquists.
Oh, those are some big names.
And then I saw Willie Tyler, and it just went from there. I was just hooked. Whenever a ventriloquist was on, I would be hooked to the TV, and it's all I've ever done since '87. This is it.
Wow. Yeah. So did you ever have a real or formal job, or was it just ventriloquism from the moment you?
I've always been working since I was 11. So I used to deliver newspapers, you know, and I was delivering them to the until I turned into a ventriloquist. And then I done my first show. I raised £8, which is about $12, for this charity. And I remember delivering the newspapers, but I sat down on the steps of someone's home one morning to see if I was in it. And I saw myself in the paper with my puppet, and I raised that $12, and I was over the moon. But I knew from that day, really, from '87, I knew I was going to be a ventriloquist. And so I went to school. I'd done talent shows, and then I started to do benefit concerts. And I got to age 17, and I worked in like a holiday centre in the UK when I was 17, and I got to do my show once a week for that whole season in 1993. And then it was really just grafting after that. The ventriloquist that taught me initially, Jimmy Townley, I roadied for him for 10 years. So I learned everything you needed to learn to be a ventriloquist by watching him on stage. When he got to a room, he would say, I need the lighting differently. That table down there are going to heckle me. He knew when it was going to be a bad night, or what you had to do really to make the show work for you, you know.
Sure.
And if he had a tough night, we'd drive home for the 3 hours or 2 hours, and he'd talk me through what went wrong or what went right, or why he had the room in the palm of his hand. You know, it was invaluable lessons for a 12-year-old. Up until I was 22, I roadied for him, and he said one day you can take over driving, you know, because I wasn't old enough to drive. And then I think I drove him a couple of times, and then I turned professional and left him. Then he had a son, and his son took over, and he was even cheaper than me. So that was good. Yeah.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Are there any aside from Jimmy? Did you have any other people that inspired you, that inspired some of your characters, maybe, or inspired you the way that you thought about your writing process for your characters?
Yeah, I didn't really start writing until I got into my mid-20s, I guess. But there was another ventriloquist called Keith Harris, who he had a record. This is the record in 1982. Keith and Orville. So this little green duck was mega famous over here, and I done my first TV show with Keith Harris when I was 16 years old, and he stood behind the camera and he watched me. And when I finished my spot, he took me to one side and said, any advice that he gave me on that, I just remember, you know, I really learned a lot by watching people like Keith Harris. But when they stand behind the camera and watch you and give you advice, you never forget that. He was always on the phone to me to see how I was over the years, you know. And when I turned professional, he was there. And when I got married as well, I got married in Las Vegas, and he sent me some dollars, you know, to gamble with. He just become, a lot of ventriloquists just become your friends. You know, it's such a great community because they did become really close. You know, Keith Harris, Jimmy Townley, Ron Lucas, they were really good to me, and I never forget that. and I'm hoping I've paid them all back sort of in my own way over the years, because I've put shows on, you know, which have involved all three of them since then. So yeah, I really respect the generation that paved the way for us younger ones, you know.
Yeah, totally. That's phenomenal. What was your first character when you started out, and do you have that character? Do you still use it today, or has it evolved into a new character?
I had a little plastic character who had ginger hair. Then I had a little wooden character called Freckles. So these little characters I stopped using really. And when I got to the age of 22, I discovered Verna Finley. Now, Jimmy Tamley put me in touch with Verna, and I just ordered this ginger little redhead girl called Tiny Tina. She was really one of my first main characters when I was 16.
Okay,
And
wow.
I was a big Michael Jackson fan as well. So I wrote to Verna. You couldn't just email Verna. You had to write to her and wait for 2 weeks. And then you wait another 2 weeks for the reply. And then she'd say, Steve, I got your letter. I'll start work on that character. And then another 4 weeks later, you get another reply to say, I've started on the character.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
emails are a blessing, aren't they?
They
But
are. Indeed.
Verna's a legend, isn't she? So she made me a Michael Jackson puppet,
She
which I used in '93 when I was 17 years old, and it was quite bad timing, really. If you Google '93, Michael Jackson's choose your characters wisely. So I used Verna about four or five times. She made me about 5 characters, and then I believe Mary Ann Taylor took over her work.
Yes.
And then I got about 5 characters from Mary Ann Taylor, and Mary's wonderful. And so I always wanted a Selberg as well. So I saved up for a Selberg, and I got myself one. I've only used it twice in the show, but I don't use wooden characters. I'm not really. I'm more into the Muppet style at the moment. You know, I've got a few
get more manipulation out of it sometimes.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. But when I'm backtracking again, but when I was 20, Keith Harris, who had the duck, you know, he gave me a puppet called Pongo. And so I kind of inherited a character from him, and it's Pongo the Skunk, it's called. And it's still in my act 25 years later, because it's quite a hit with the audience. Actually, it's my wife's favorite. Yeah,
it's a beautiful character. Yeah.
Have you seen Pongo?
I have. I've seen photos of him.
He's quite big. He's quite a big character.
And the Michael Jackson. I want to comment on the Verna characters that you have. I've seen the Michael Jackson, and as a soft puppet builder, it's very hard to get something that looks like even close to like a caricature of a celebrity. Yes. That it's hilarious. It's really
brilliant. What she done was the actual because I went to see him do a concert in Wembley in London in '93, I think it was, and no, I think it was about 1990 or something. But she actually made the gold outfit that he wore as well. It was the outfit that she made that impressed me more than anything. It just made it look incredible. You know, it looked completely real. It's quite scary the way it looked. The thing is, I can't
Michael Jackson.
Sadly, yes. Sadly, I'm no Terry Fator. I'm not a singer. I'm gutted. I can't sing, but I know that enhances your acts and your repertoire. But I wish I had those voices. But I had the Michael Jackson puppet just because I was a Michael Jackson fan. So I got him made, and I just done some jokes with him. I wrote some topical humor. So you're talking about the style of humor I write for them. So the Michael Jackson really was around. It was around his nose. You know, there was jokes going about his nose and picking his nose and things. it just fit that character at the time. Sure. But the news surrounding him was a little bit more tricky, so I had to drop him from the show eventually.
That's knowing your audience and when your material is dated. But it's an interesting thing. I also think that having a character, and I'm sure you felt this as well when you introduced the Michael Jackson Verna character into the show. And I'm sure that Terry has also recognized this. But when you have a character that it's a celebrity, you don't have to have jokes that have to set up who the character is, because the audience is able to click from the moment you bring it out. So that's neat.
Sorry, you're cutting out a bit there. It may be my internet. Is it? Quite far away, aren't I? I'm quite far away from Dallas. Sorry, we do that question again.
Oh, I was just saying that the having the character that was Michael Jackson is a lot easier to, when you bring it out, the audience immediately knows who it is. You don't have to have any type of setup to establish the character, which is probably also helpful.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't need to say, hi, I'm Michael Jackson, or this is Michael Jackson. It was
Right.
Michael Jackson. So
Mhm.
I should have brought him out and then give him a Dallas accent, or give him an Australian accent and completely confuse the audience. It might have been funnier if I rather than Michael Jackson.
Mhm.
He could have been
Yeah.
LaToya Jackson or Janet
Yeah.
Jackson,
Yeah.
which
Exactly.
which
Yeah. Well,
it probably was.
could you talk a little bit about Britain's Got Talent and how that came to be?
Yeah, well, I've been in the business for about 17 or 18 years already. And so I was just starting to make a name for myself in the business. I started to, I done this thing called Educating Archie. It was an old ventriloquist on the radio, and in the 1950s. And in 2006, I actually co-wrote a play called Re-Educating Archie. And so I played a ventriloquist, but we had the original dummy from the old show. So it kind of got me in the papers a little bit, and a little bit on the radio. So my name started to get a little bit more known, but I hadn't had any big TV breaks or anything. I was doing cruise ships, and over here we do pantomimes. So I did that, and I done private concerts, you know. But
Could you explain that? What are pantomimes?
Pantomimes, it's when men dress up as ladies and wear tights and makeup, and it's like Cinderella. You got Cinderella the story, or Aladdin, the story. It's we do this at Christmas, every Christmas. It could be Puss in Boots. It's always a famous story, like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So it's a nice story. You kind of know the beginning and the end. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And you actually get like someone playing Snow White. You get seven dwarfs in the pantomime. So it's a comedy play. It's very slapstick, but it's very British tradition. It's a great thing over here. And they always had a ventriloquist in it, you know. So I was always going to be in work at Christmas time. I've only done 11 pantos, but there's many ventriloquists that have probably done about 40 or 50. But sometimes at Christmas, I like to do a variety show instead of panto. So I choose to do most of my acts. Really, when you do panto, you get to chop up your act and do it within the story, you know, because it's like Snow White, the Seven Dwarfs. You can come out and entertain the dwarfs in their house, or at the wedding at the end when Snow White or Cinderella gets married. So you entertain at the wedding, at the castle, you know, at the party, the after show party, and then but you have to do all the dancing, you have to do the acting. So the ventriloquist and my character, for instance, if it was Aladdin, I had Pongo, and we were called Ping and Pong. We were the Chinese policemen, and so we would play policemen, and we'd have to chase Aladdin around the stage for a couple of hours in a pair of tights, and that was fun. And I've done Aladdin for about 5 times. I love Aladdin. That's a good. It's a good story. Yeah. So that's panto.
Has being in that helped your career, or was it more like a fun thing to do that kept you working at the time?
Pantomime, you mean? It's panto. You always get a big name at the top. There's always someone famous from television over here mainly. But very recently, they started to bring stars over, like Pamela Anderson and David Hasselhoff have come over to do pantomime as well, you know. So you get quite a few big names over here doing it now. It's big business, really big business. And so pantomime was always good, but I hadn't had a TV break in my career. And I started when I was 12. I was now 37, and it was 2013. I do a lot of cruise ships. So after pantomime, which I just finished, I thought I'm going to have a few months off because we had a new baby at the time. And so I took some time off. Then I had a phone call from Britain's Got Talent. And they called me for 7 years running. And I always turned it down because I was always working. I was always on ships. And so this time I had a few weeks off. So they said, well, if you want to come and audition, it's at the London Palladium, famous theatre, which I loved because I worked there when I was 20 for 9 months. So I thought, yeah, I'll go back there. I went there and I done. You see the audition on YouTube. It went from 6 minutes to 20 seconds. That's all they showed. But there was a standing ovation.
Okay.
Only got my word for it. There was. Yeah. Okay. And then so it just went phenomenal. So I went along, done the audition, and it went great. I got through to the show, and because they only show 20 seconds, I think on a show like that, you have to have something up your sleeve for the live shows. And so I got on the live shows with other characters. I wanted to use Pongo, but they didn't want to see Pongo. They wanted Arthur back again. So they wanted to see my, excuse me, they wanted to see my character that I auditioned with.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, I'll bring him back again, but I need to add something. I can't just do Arthur Lager. So I thought I'm going to have something up my sleeve. And I didn't tell the producers that I had another puppet planned.
Oh, wow.
So, but this was my Werner Findlay character. He was called Butch, and he had muscles, and he had some shorts on and a suit. And I used to do this with the Werner Findlay character. He had a suit, but it was Velcro. She made it so it was Velcro. And I pulled the suit, and then he was in his gym shorts. Yeah. And so he's standing there like half naked. It was hilarious at the time. I'd done that on another TV show, but he was sat there for 10 years because, I dropped him from the act. And my wife, Nina, said, you should change that puppet because it looks a little bit like Simon Cowell. So I sent him to a puppet designer, and he changed it, and he made it look like Simon Cowell. So gave him a fake sunburn, gave him the hair and the glasses and the suit, and he sent it back 2 weeks later, 1 week before the shows. Wow. Very fine line. That was nerve-wracking, but it turned up, and I laughed a lot when I saw it, and my wife was smiling. So I thought, well, I'll just take it along and see what happens. So we done the last rehearsals for the show, and I still didn't mention the Simon Cowell puppet. I done the Arthur Lager, and then we went to the live shows the next day. There was one more rehearsal, and literally two hours before we went live, I done my last little rehearsal. But I thought, okay, I'm going to do it here because I can't surprise them on the night because they might cut my act. So I done Arthur Lager, and I pulled out the Simon Cowell puppet in the last rehearsal, and the place went crazy. They went mad. Wow. So just because they didn't know I had that in the box. So the producer ran down and they said,
did you have an audience during this? I mean, was there
only the crew?
Only the crew. Okay.
Yeah, the crew and the other acts that were watching.
Gotcha.
And the hosts that are called Ant and Deck, that they doubled over laughing. So I thought, I need to do this tonight. The producer said, please put that in tonight. Simon will love it. And going on a show like that as a professional act is a big risk for anybody, you know. Anyone that's been doing it for like 15, 20 years. So I did put my life on the line, really. But also getting a puppet made up of the actual boss of the show is probably going to double ruin you, I think. I was extremely brave doing it. Yeah. But when I pulled out the Simon Cowell puppet, it just seemed to work. And when they panned to Simon's face, you saw the reaction. It was great. And I done it again a week later when I pulled out his ex-girlfriend. It wasn't even his girlfriend, but Sunita, the other character in the final that you showed earlier.
Yes.
She was in the audience, sat behind Simon. So because they were there, it made the impact bigger in the studio. It was electric in the studio.
So she was his ex-girlfriend at the time?
Sunita, yeah. He's friends with all of his ex-girlfriends. I'm not saying he's got a lot, but he's got a lot. And so it was just extra funny because they were panning to the puppet, and then to Simon, and then to Sunita's puppet, and then to Sunita. And their reaction actually gave my act, the end of my act, probably an extra 2 minutes of laughter because it was just so funny to them. It was so funny. Yeah. If they weren't in the audience, I don't know if it all worked as much. And you take that scenario out of the show, the Sunita and the Simon Cowell puppet, it's not really as funny. They have to be in the audience for it to work, I think.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, totally.
And it did work, in the end.
Wow. What was it like? So had you tested, I mean, I assumed you had tested the material, but what was that like writing for it? And did you get the puppet and then write for it, or had you written the bit that you were doing with the Simon Cowell character and then you got the puppet?
I got the puppet made and then I panicked, which is
Okay.
what I always seem to do. I always seem to do that. So I got the Simon Cowell. Obviously, I wrote this especially for the show, so I wrote a few gags. And if you look back at the first live show that I do, I only say one line with Simon, and it's all what I planned. It was just the impact of the puppet that was hilarious, and all he says was his famous line was, "I did not like it. I absolutely loved it." So I knew that that's all I had to say to get the audience on my side. And so I said that, and I got them on my side. And then I didn't get through that night, but then I got the wild card, which brought me back for the final the next time. So if there is a ventriloquist going on, all I'll say is just have something planned, but surprise the producers as well, because you can't go on and just do your event act. I think these days you need something. I've seen that John Pizzi has gone on there. John Pizzi.
Yes.
It's fantastic what he done on there. He really, you know, it was just a nice twist to ventriloquism. Terry Fater's gone on there and done the same. It's just truly beautiful what Terry done, and Darcy Lynn. It's great if you can come out and do something different. I loved what Michael Paul done on it as well.
Yes.
Michael's great. He's a great stand-up comic, isn't he, Michael?
He is. He's phenomenal. And what I'll say, I don't know if this is the same. This works the same way for Britain's Got Talent, but for AGT, you could be a hilarious act, but sometimes your comedy isn't right in their platform because of like what you said, where you have to be quick and it has to be like bam, bam, bam versus comedy that builds on itself, or if you have a character that wants to pan to the audience or talk to the audience, it builds, and you can have that. So
an act does build. When you've got 2.5 minutes, you haven't got time to build anything.
No.
So you have to be visual. You have to be really slick. And I was always ready for ad libs as well when I went on the show. So if there's but I was quite overwhelmed with the reaction. So I'm quite a shy person as it is. I think many ventriloquists are quite shy, but I've always been really shy. So without the characters, I'm kind of a little scared, a scaredy cat. But I'm really good at ad-libbing actually in certain moments. I don't think I was on BGT. I stuck to my script, which is very unlike me. I'm very, apart from the Simon Cowell puppet, which I pulled out. But it was actually a puppet maker that saved me on that show, Peter Pullen.
Yes.
Because I was only told on the Monday that I'd got through to the finals. So I had to phone up a puppet maker, and you'll appreciate this, Landon. You need more than a week to make a puppet. I gave Peter Pullen 3 days to make Sunita, and he didn't sleep. He made her in 3 days, and he saved me on that show because the impact of her coming out was incredible. So it's down to us ventriloquists can't work without you builders. You're our lifeline, So I thank you for doing that because it's incredible what you do for us. Yeah, we need some great builders.
On behalf of all builders, thank you so much. That's amazing. Three days. I mean, I can build a puppet in a week if I like have a crunch time, but 3 days is man. And not to mention the fact that you have to draw up the character and then pick what the whole appearance and everything else.
I know. Well, they had to order all the pieces, the wigs and the clothes. And I mean, Sunita was famous for having the leaves on her. So where did you find those leaves? I know, but they found them. The eyes, everything. He didn't have anything there, like the material for Sunita, and the shoes as well. It just looked like for Sunita, and the shoes as well. It just looked like her when it came out. That's why she was in hysterics. But you kind of I had to thank him. I always thank him for that. I always remind him that he saved me on that show. It was a beautiful thing, really good.
Yeah, he does beautiful work. I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah, I love Peter. I mean, he's been working for 50 years at the 50 years on for ventriloquists. There's so many. I'm writing a book called Ventriloquist, and I interviewed Pete, and I didn't realize how many he made. He made so many for vents over here. Literally loads, and it will be in my book. You'll see that.
Wow, I'm looking forward to that. Do you have a date that you plan to release it? or is it still in the works?
I want to. I'm hoping that this situation we're all in doesn't hold it back. But I'm hoping to launch it at Kentucky next year. That's my dream. So
yeah, that'd be phenomenal.
Yeah, it would be. That is my dream. So I really hope. I hope to finish it by the end of the summer this year and start the editing and publishing and things. So fingers crossed. But it's the biggest thing I've ever done. I've been writing it for about 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it about the history of ventriloquism or your story, or what's
it's about people behind the dummy. I like to get to know people, you know. So I wanted to get to know Willie Tyler. So I've spoken to Willie Tyler. Ron Lucas has done the foreword for my book. He's my idol, so I couldn't have asked anyone else. So Ron's in the book. I've interviewed him, Dave Strassman, Jay Johnson, Paul Zerdin, Nina Conti, Jimmy Tamley, who taught me. I mean, name a ventriloquist, most of them are in the book. So I've done interviews with vents like yourself, but all over the world as well, in India and Iceland, and it's fascinating actually how many there are out there, because you don't, unless you delve like we do, you don't realize. You know, try ask somebody normal to name 5 ventriloquists is quite a tricky, but we can read off 100, couldn't we? if we do a quiz, we'll do well.
And one of the things I love about the Ventriloquist Convention in Kentucky is that we have this international show, and it allows us to see how ventriloquism is performed all over the world.
It's amazing how different it is. Yeah.
It's so different and so inspiring, and you know, you leave the convention with creative juices flowing and new ideas, and most people leave with a new puppet too. It's just phenomenal. We talked a little bit about Peter Pullen and Verna and Marianne. I'd like to kind of quickly touch on the evolution of your main character, Arthur.
Yes.
Could you talk about how he came to be and the character and the actual puppet?
Yeah. In 2005, I had this Verna character called Butch. I dropped him from the show because I had a manager at the time, and he said, you should get an old man in the show. And I think these days ventriloquists they either have an old man, a monkey, a baby, and a mask. That's our act, isn't it? That's what we've all got.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, well, I haven't got a monkey, I haven't got a baby, I don't do the mask, but I'll get an old man. So I got the old man at the time. It was about 15 years ago now. And a mate of mine called him Arthur. He said, you should call him Arthur Lager. I laughed at that. So I thought, if I'm going to laugh at it, the audience will laugh at just me introducing him. And they still do. So I called him Arthur Lager, and I put him in the act. I was doing a hotel in Turkey, and bearing in mind a few nights before I was using the Verna character, but I dropped him to see how the old man would go down, and he went down a storm. I'd never heard any laughter like it. But he was doing the same material that the younger character used to do. But I made him more cheeky, and he had more of an older. He's just like a dirty old man.
Yeah.
You know, so, and it worked, and everybody can relate to him. He's like your granddad, your uncle, your next door neighbor. You know, it's a character that people really love, and I just haven't let him go since. He has grown. And you say evolution. Strangely, I started a show just before lockdown on the March the 11th. I had the idea about 5 years ago, but I wanted to have a puppet made up of Arthur Lager when he was a child. So I wanted to build up his whole life in 1 hour. So I wrote a new show called Arthur Lager Gets Real. I contacted Marianne Taylor and her company, and they made me a couple of Arthur Lagers. So I've got a 23-year-old Arthur Lager, a 40-year-old Arthur Lager, and a 60-year-old Arthur Lager, and I've got the 82-year-old Arthur Lager, and I'm getting a 7.
Hilarious.
Peter Pullen's actually making me a 7-year-old Arthur Lager, so I've got five characters, and I loved it. I opened up the show. It was the last show that I did on stage, and it was just purely just about him. So, but it's more like a play, you know. It's I think David Strassman's inspired me with this. Yeah,
this is a production.
It is a production. He's an incredible performer, Strassman. I love his work, and so I like the fact that it's more of a performance, and it's not me doing cabaret or a show, you know, or an act. And this is something Ron Lucas taught me, actually. He says, when I'm on stage, I don't do an act. I do a show, and there is a difference, isn't there, between the two? And I like that. I like what Ron Lucas said there. But now I've got an act and I've got a show now. So I went out and done this in March. The first hour of the show was actually the Arthur Lager Gets Real, and the second half was the rest of my characters. Well, I just done a cabaret show, but the play I've only done it twice because we went into lockdown. But I've moved all of the tour dates to next year now. But I can't wait to get back on stage because it worked. It was. Do you know when you get a dream or an idea? This is like a whole hour that I wrote, and you feel so proud putting on something brand new. And I knew it was a good idea, but you don't know until you put it on the stage whether it's going to work. And I love your reaction to it about Arthur Lager.
Oh, it's hilarious.
In different stages, you could do anything with it.
Yeah, it's got so much potential. Now I've got to ask: does it start with the current version of him, and he's looking back, or does it start with the baby? Yeah. Okay, wow.
Very good. So we opened with the show, and actually the first night was slightly different to the second night. So I started with him, and then we went into a moment where he was going to look back, and then he was a baby, then he was born, then he was the 7-year-old, then he just grew up, So like every 8 minutes, I would change the character, but there'd be a screen with some date changes and things on there and some backdrops. And then at one time he was working with the Beatles when he was in his 20s. So you play some Beatles music. It's a nice little link. Yeah. And I wrote some gags around that time in Liverpool. And then he was a stand-up comic for a while. And then he joined me, as a ventriloquist dummy later on. But yes, it's such a nice piece to do. Actually, I'm going to tour it for years because it's a huge passion to do something brand new in it. And I think it went down better than my act I've been doing for 20 years. And my wife said she loved it. The contrast between the two shows was, it was like a play, and then it was a comedy show afterwards. Yeah. But, so the first night was different to the second because my wife said, I think you should probably do a little bit more comedy before the show starts. So what I did in the cabaret show, I brought Arthur Lager back to do my main act with him, and my wife Nina said it doesn't work. You've lost the essence of Arthur Lager. Bringing him back, it's too much, So now I've separated him. I just do the Arthur Lager show in the first hour, and the second hour is just those characters. But the second night I went back, I started with him, started to do some cabaret and introducing him to a lady in the audience. And then every time he came back as an older character, he would recognize the lady in the audience and it'd say, "Hey, you were here 7 years ago." And it was a running gag. But I wrote that just by my wife saying, change that little part to it. And it became quite a big part of the evening. It was hilarious by the end. But I rewrote the show the second night, and so I can't wait to get it back because it was a dream to do. It's really nice.
I love the originality in that idea. I'm curious, did you write the entire show, or did you write it as you got the versions of the puppets?
I wrote the show before I got all the puppets.
Wow.
Mary Ann Taylor's Matte Puppets made 3 of the characters for me. And so, it was just brilliant. I just couldn't wait to get the characters, and when they send you pictures of your character, and do you make all of your own, or you don't send yourself pictures when you make?
I do now. Yeah, I get to a point where I put the eyes in it, and it clicks with me. Yeah.
It's just brilliant when it all starts coming together, and your vision ends up on stage or on a piece of paper. And then you get it on stage. It's a beautiful thing from birth to stage, and that's what I want to do.
It's a new level of excitement.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? It's an idea that just manifests into something beautiful like comedy. And I saw something recently in lockdown during watching Jeff Dunham and him building a character in lockdown. And then, have you seen the results since?
Yes, I have.
He's incredible. He's such an inspiration, Jeff.
Yes,
because he doesn't just build helicopters and dummies. He's a great stand-up comic, Brilliant,
Yes.
brilliant vent. But Jeff was at the top 25 years ago. You know, when I was starting out, Jeff was one of the, you know, one of the greats, because he was doing all the Montreal comedy festivals. That's when I first saw him in the late 80s. I saw him on TV over here, and he was at the top then. You know, for British vents, we were like, wow, who is this guy? And then it took him another 25 years to just, the YouTube took off, didn't it? It's incredible.
It is. It is amazing. And it's amazing that he's, you know, you can't imagine how hard he's worked to stay on the top since then.
I know, yeah.
His marketing department, and you know, it's all in who you come to contact with and who you know, your branding, and it's, oh my gosh. And of course all of his touring all over the world that he's doing. Truly amazing. Could we meet Arthur?
You can, yes. Gotta wake him up. And if you know, it's 2 a.m. over here. So my whole family's asleep. I probably sound like I'm whispering, but he's what now? Yes, now. Can I just ask you, Landon, why are most of the great ventriloquists from Texas? What's going on with Texas? Is there a club there?
I don't know, but they've all performed for a year at the Six Flags over Texas, which is an amusement park. So I have to do that next summer.
Are you doing it?
I plan to. I'm going to try to. So we'll see.
Well, if it works.
It is ironic.
You're on the list. Oh, hello. Where are we? Yeah, 1 2 1 2. Hello, London. All right. No, it's not London. It's Landon. You're what? That's Landon. I thought you said we're going to London. No. Oh, hello.
Hello there. How are you,
Landon? You all right?
I'm doing well. Yeah, we're having a great interview with Steve here, and I'm sorry we had to wake you up. I know it's
well, it's nothing without me.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that's true. I mean, I did see your appearances on Britain's Got Talent. You were phenomenal, by the way. So I wanted to just tell you that in person.
Yeah. I wasn't I? I was good, wasn't I?
Yeah, you were great. And you're a hit with the ladies, too. What is your, have you always been a hit with the ladies? Is that
the natural, you know. I'm such a natural. Yeah. It's in the eyes. Yeah. The ladies do have his eyes. Yeah.
He's got a
little bit of work done since BGT, though, you know. Yeah, it does some work done on his face. Oh, some work done. Did I? Yeah. Well, on a celebrity, did I? On a hottie.
Yeah, since you've had the work done, Arthur, it's great because he's got these beautiful eyes that can be seen from far away. You know, he's got, you know, when you move his mouth, it's great for any type of production that you were to perform.
Yeah, that's why I use these big characters, these Muppet style characters, because you can't see their mouths moving. You know, I can see yours moving. It's really early in the morning, so that's why I think, I mean, with the hard figures, you know, it's kind of difficult to see those little lips, the leather lips moving, which I used to use one of those when I was a kid. But I started to do bigger venues, and me and Arthur, we worked at the London Royal Albert Hall, which is like about 6,000 seats. So you need bigger characters, you know, for those sort of venues and theatres over here.
For sure.
They could be quite big, you know, so when you're doing tours and things. So it's good. It's good to see the mouth moving and things. Yeah, it is, isn't it? 1 2.
And I love, he's just got such an original look that is, you know, super.
Yeah, he's very cheeky. He's got his summer outfit on now. Do you like it, Landon? There it is. There you go.
Great. I love it. Oh, I love the shorts. Those are great.
Summertime here, isn't it? It's summertime. We don't know if we're allowed out, but on in lockdown. Yeah, on in lockdown. I didn't lock down for years. You're stuck in the trunk.
I think all of us performers are dressing up just to walk around the house and perform in the mirror. Yeah,
trying out new shoes. But this is it. So I mean, a lot of my characters are in storage actually. So we're not going anywhere. Going nowhere. So oh, there you go. Who does your hair?
Mine is real. I don't know if yours is, Arthur, but
it used to be. The hairs up the nose are. They're mine. Oh. Yeah, I use a toothbrush to brush them.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. It's quite heavy actually. He's got quite a heavy character. He's got heavy head, because the eyes, actually, I think whatever the eyes are made out of, they're quite heavy inside there because they're real eyes.
Yeah, they're super great for like promotional shots, and of course to be seen far away. Thank you, Arthur, for waking up and being part of the show.
Thanks. I got that asleep. I just wish I could close the eyes. I can't close the eyes. See you later.
All right, bye-bye. That's
there
fantastic. Well, Steve, what is one of your favorite show memories, and one of your maybe not so favorite, or if something went wrong and you're like, well, now I learned from that?
Things. I'm just trying to think things that go wrong. You could be heckled sometimes where things go wrong. I did have somebody who was extremely intoxicated during one of my shows, and that it was a New Year's Eve. Actually, it was quite a long time ago, but they walked up onto the stage. And there was security there, but the security was just laughing, and they just let this happen. So they walked up onto the stage and they just started shaking my character, and it was on my arm. But I think some people, when you have a drink, you can't believe that they're puppets, because they thought the character was real, and they were shaking it and they were talking to the puppet, But I think they were so drunk. They didn't know what they were doing. Have you heard this story before? This ventriloquist called Terry Rogers. She was on stage once, and a drunk person walked up onto the stage and was arguing with the character. And it got so angry, it went to punch. Terry went back like this because she thought he was going to punch her. But he actually went for the dummy, and he punched the dummy's head, and it came out of the socket. It was a wooden character, and the dummy's head flew across the stage. But just as it done that, because she's very quick thinking, Terry was, she made it go, wah! She done the voice as he flew away across the stage.
Oh, wow.
Which is funny. Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a neat experience, but I got to meet Jim Barber and talk with him and get pictures with him. And it's just such a great community that fosters young talent, and everyone's so willing to share and to help, and it's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I met Jimmy Nelson there in 2003, and that was incredible. Bless him. It was that's why I met Kelly Asprey. I've got my book here as well. Kelly Asprey, we sadly lost last week. Who wrote that book? Jimmy Nelson, Jeff Dunham signed that book. A few of them signed that, actually. Can we do an auction? Yeah. So that's just an incredible book. But it was a wonderful place. I was 28 when I went, and it was the 100th birthday of Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy. I remember Alan Seamock played W.C. Fields, and it was just a brilliant tribute show to Edgar Bergen they put on about his radio show, And they always make it special. Really do there at the convention. Mark Wade is a genius, isn't he? Mark's fantastic.
I can't imagine all of the work that he does just to make the convention run so smoothly.
No, I think they're doing a online thing, aren't they, for one day this year? I believe
they are. Yes, yeah. I have I'm doing a little puppet building workshop thing in it. Yeah,
that means I can go. so I'm going to be there.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about being original and creating characters or having them created, and share some tips on where you can go to create your own puppet while you're in quarantine. So I've been working on that. Yeah, a lot of fun.
Wow. That's a good idea.
Could you talk a little bit about comedy in the UK versus comedy outside the UK? Did you notice a difference when you started touring, or not really?
I do. When I went over to the States for the first time, Jimmy Osmond watched me the first night. And although I did get laughs, some people, he told me, asked me if I could slow down a bit. And so I wasn't driving home. It was literally the accent. I was talking too fast when I done the show. Can you understand me now? I should have asked you earlier. Yeah. So Jimmy said, can you just slow down a bit? They loved the content. They loved what you did, the visual stuff, but just slow down. And the second night I went out, I slowed down what I was doing, which means I do longer surely. He didn't want that. But he loved it. So the second night, and from then on, I just tried to, respect your audience and just sort of learn by it. So you just have to go by what they need. And so, it was just really just changing a few words in my act that would suit. You talk about the obvious pavement and sidewalk and things, but
Sure.
there's only a few words that I changed. I don't talk about the sidewalk or pavement, so I didn't need to.
Right.
It's different. But I've always loved American comedy. Seinfeld. We always watched Friends over here, so all those sitcoms. Robin Williams, I love. Great comedians. Steve Martin, Stephen Wright. Yeah. Lots of people called Stephen. It's really funny. But a lot of my humor, really, I think it just watching American ventriloquists for 30 years now. But when I was in my teens, I was just watching American comedy most of the time. I love that style of comedy. I get it. I really get American humor, Saturday Night Live and all that. It's just fantastic. So, and this is brilliant for me. I've never been interviewed in America before. So this is like my late show, really.
Yes,
Actually, this is my early show. This now.
This is like Landon Live, late at night.
late and early for me.
Wow.
But so it's an honor to be on your show, mate. But
thank you.
It's I was always watching American comedy. I love it. But over here, we're just very laid back. In England, I think it's can be quite difficult. I've done so many ships, American ships, where there's American audiences in. And my actors got different reactions to different places, which is really throws you when you're used to doing the same show in the UK. And the Americans would laugh at you differently, and the Canadians would get different things, and they would applaud. Whereas normally I'd get a laugh somewhere, the Americans would applaud what I was doing. I thought, oh wow! And then I have to learn to slow down again, because I was expecting a laugh. I wasn't expecting clapping there. It was supposed to be a laugh. So, sometimes
that's really wow. I'm curious. You talked about doing cruise ships. What was that experience like, and were you ready when you had started cruise ship work?
I was 22 when I done my first cruise ship, and I only had 45 minutes. But they said, "Oh, you might have to do a late night show, which is an extra half an hour." And all I had with me extra was a Michael Jackson puppet. I had no material for. I had 5 minutes with him, but he couldn't sing for 25 minutes because I couldn't sing. I should have just I should have mimed something at least. But so I went on that cruise ship, and I had an okay 45 minutes. Because the cruise audiences are slightly different to the gigs at home. You get used to doing the cruise ships. They're very disciplined, and now they're in huge, beautiful theaters. And so when I go on them now, I'm ready. I love doing them because the theaters are packed and they're waiting for a show. Whereas at home, sometimes in the UK, sometimes you have to fight for your audience. There's kids running about. There's fruit machines. It's like little mini Vegas casinos and things. The bar, sometimes the bars, and the restaurants are in the same room as where you're performing. So you're fighting against a lot. But when you're on a cruise ship, they're always.
It's all controlled.
It is controlled. Yeah, you've got your own sound guy, lighting guy. You got people in the wings helping you with your props and things. The curtains, you're introduced properly. It's like you're in Vegas, so it's like you got your own show when you do a theater. That whole night, that room is yours, So it's fantastic, but it's every night is different on a ship. You don't know who's in the audience. It could be half Spanish and half German. Sometimes they don't tell you.
Well, you talked about how the audience was different than that you were used to. Can you talk a little bit more about that and kind of define that?
How different they are.
Yeah, like how do they seem different to you when you had performed on cruise ships?
In cruise ships, because they're I tell you, for instance, when they're dressed up, they call it formal evenings. So when they're dressed up in their dicky bows and their suits, and the ladies have got big night dresses on, like they're at a ball or something, like Cinderella and all that. they've just had dinner, or they're just going to dinner and they're coming to see a show first. Sometimes they do it other way around, because you do 2 shows. So you do early evening and then late evening. But when it's formal evening, I think comedy acts have a tougher time, because they're all sat there, they're dicky bows, and oops, there you go. Just do comedy, and they love it. They love it if you do a visual slapstick. They're sat there and they're waiting for a show, but it's like, I don't know, it's like you're on Broadway or in the West End, where when they're sat there in their suits, it's a completely different audience to when they're turning up in their shorts or their jeans, because they're more relaxed, and they're looking forward to a comedy show. I don't know what it is about the dicky bows or the dresses that turn people into people with no sense of humor. But sometimes it's more tricky to entertain them when they're full up, or they're wearing a wedding dress,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, maybe they're both too constricting, so it's harder to laugh. I don't know.
maybe they can't breathe. Maybe that's what it is. So maybe I've been thinking they're laughing, but they're all choking, possibly. So
That's phenomenal. That's interesting to hear your perspective on that. And kind of wrapping up here, could you talk about your hopes for the future of ventriloquism and for future events?
yes, well, hopefully the venues will come back soon. That's what we're hoping. I believe at the end of this month I've got some bookings, and so we're hoping all that's going to go ahead. And I think the mask routine, I did do the mask for a while, but I've been trying to find an excuse not to do it anymore, because many people over here do it. And so I've now got an excuse. I don't think we're allowed to do it. So I think for ventriloquism, I want to be doing my Arthur Lager show, the one I told you about. So I want to take that on the road and do some festivals around. We have Edinburgh Festival in Scotland. That's one of my goals to do. So it's to be more creative with my work. And I've got these characters made up from matte puppets for the Arthur Lager. I want to make that an actual thing that I'm known for now, something brand new that's just started this year. That would be great to actually get something. Yeah, I'd love to win an award for that. Maybe a Terry Fater scholarship or something. You could lend me yours. So
Yeah.
I think for people like Terry Fater and the Got Talent franchise, I think ventriloquism is safe. I think there'll always be an event that's going to bring something new to the show. It's going to do something that's going to not shock us, but that's going to impress us. And when you see a ventriloquist, you think that they're not going to have anything new, but they seem to always come out with something new, which is great. It's always good to see something that is fresh, innovative. Yeah, that word. So innovative. That's the word, isn't it? It up until that point, that was good. And so I really do love seeing fresh and original ideas, and I like coming up with them. I've written loads of jokes and loads of routines and stuff, but you got to have the platform to do it. So theaters and possibly back on the cruise ships at some point.
Okay.
That's where most of the ventriloquists have been, I think, up until this year. This year is a write-off for any performance, I believe.
It makes me wonder if in the future, because all these magic acts rely on people from the audience, if ventriloquism will be more popular on cruise lines.
Yes, well, I'm rewriting my show because I did have for the cruises. They asked if I could do the mask, and so I do put it in the second show. But you're not going to be able to use people in the audience, at least for a year. I don't think so. I will. I'm rewriting the show, so I've got 2 shows without any audience participation.
Right. Wow.
So it's just purely comedy, and routines. And if I could take Arthur Lager's show on the ships, I'll do that as well as a third show, because I think if you're going to do cruise ships, they're going to want you on there for longer. I think you're going to have to do, if you're going to do a week, I think you're going to have to stay on for 2 weeks because they don't want people flying on and off again. So you're going to have to come up with more shows. I think that's where we're heading, really, even for theaters and some venues as well. But if this is just going to last till this year, then that's okay. We could go back to normal. Let's hope we do, because for young people like yourself, you just get into the business and
I've just started. Come on.
I know. Give the guys a break.
Library shows this summer.
Yeah.
It's slap in the face by the world, but
it is.
You get through it and you get back to where things are. So
yeah, definitely. But did you start this in lockdown?
Did I? Yes, I did.
You did.
I did.
So things happen for a reason, Landon, and you're landing on your feet. That's what's happened. It's really
landing on my feet.
Yeah. Well, I'm finishing my book in lockdown. I started a podcast as well. I'm talking to comedians and stuff over here. So that's a new thing that I'm doing. But
people find that podcast.
It's not out yet, so it's just I'm editing. I'm just interviewing over the next couple of months, and then I'm going to edit. It's probably going to go out in September.
Okay, cool.
I'll let you know. It's all to do with comedy, and I'm going to try and reach out to American comedy as well, not just British. But it's really interesting. I'm talking to a lot of my favorite comics, and it's interesting to get in a different perspective. Because I love music, I love comedy, and I absolutely love ventriloquism. So it's nice to get the idea of. A lot of ventriloquists base their act on comedy, So you get the really good stand-ups like Jeff Dunham and Michael Paul. You get the really creative side like Strassman, and then you got Ron Lucas, who is the production side, the beautiful performer. Like him, Jay Johnson, but all of them are comedy. It's all comedy. At the end of the day, we're all comedians.
How would you define your style?
My style, it's it took me many years to actually to actually do comedy without the puppets. Okay. Without a character on my arm. So I started to write a lot of the comedy. Sort of in my late 20s, I think, and then I started to do some. I was doing some stuff on Britain's Got Talent. I wrote some stuff that was without the characters, but they didn't want that. They wanted to see the old man all the time. So my comedy is very silly humor. It's very silly. It's not slapstick, but it's silly jokes. I'm a bit of a punster. A few puns. I'm trying to get rid of them. But I do silly little jokes and throwaway puppets. I've got a lot of puppets that I just throw away, and I've got a couple of Axtels I just do for like 1 minute, and it's just the style that I write. Really, it's different. So I like to have the big character on my hand. I do him for 15 or 20 minutes, and then I'll do like 5 to 10 minutes of stand up or throwaway stuff. Then I get another big character out. And it cuts up your act, quite nicely. It makes it like it makes it like a variety show, So, which is nice. It keeps it fresh and keeps it moving along, within the evening, and people don't get too bored. Yeah, I couldn't use the same character for an hour, even though I am in the Arthur show, but at least he's different ages.
Right. Yeah, you can have him comment on different things throughout his life.
Yeah, it works within those decades that he's talking about, So, but so my comedy is like I say, it's very. It may be a little bit Americanized because I really admire American comedians and ventriloquists, but I try and find my own style, and I'm hoping I've got my own style. It's a little bit different to others, which is nice. It's good if we can all be different. There's enough work out there for everybody.
Yeah, keep the art original and make your own characters and have them be original to you in your show. I love that, and I love that you were talking about too that this art will continue going, and I also think that it will eventually keep thriving, and just everyone will stick with it. So it's neat, and this is a great creative time too to create a bunch of different puppets or ideas or work on material. I mean, this is So.
Yes, it's a good time to finish my book. Now, this is no one's got one of these, by the way. This is something I had made just before lockdown, but it's never the right time to use him because here he is. Oh, hello. Don't go to work, go to work, go to work, don't go to work, stay home, don't go to work. Have a cup of tea, don't drink coffee. Hello, London. My name's Boris. It's Boris Johnson. There he is. It's difficult to get the there he is. Look away. Yes, yes. Have a cup of tea, but don't drink tea. Night.
Oh, that is great.
Yeah. Guess where he's from?
Where?
So so all in the costume. So yeah, so I've got Boris, but it's never really the right time to use him because we loved Boris because he used to be the mayor of London, and he's always been a wacky character. So I just thought he was perfect to use as a puppet. And then we thought, okay, he's going to be prime minister. So I got him made up, and then this Brexit thing started. So I thought, oh, people were fed up with him. So I thought, I'm not going to get him out during Brexit. So I'll wait till it's over. So I was just about to get him out. And then the lockdown happened. And then I thought, oh, no, they're blaming him for everything. So if I get him out, they're going to turn on me, you know. So I thought, and then he went into hospital. So I thought, I can't really use it now. He's in hospital. Yeah. Then he came out of hospital. And I thought, I'll get him out now and do something. And they've turned on him again. So yeah, he can't win. So I might turn him into Trump.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Wow. That's knowing your audience though, which is great because it's a full circle about knowing your audience and what is appropriate to put out there and what's not. And
yeah, make it topical, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. Phenomenal. Well, Steve Hewlett, thank you so much for being part of Landon Live and for sharing your story.
Nice to meet you, Landon. It's been really interesting watching your talks, and it's really nice to be part of it. Thank you so much for having us. And you should have my mate Jimmy Tamley on, who taught me, because he's brilliant, Jim. He's and what you said about them passing it down to the younger generation, you know, and looking after us. And I found that, and I've you know, I've helped out younger generation as well. There's a couple of young ones up and coming, which is nice. And I'm passing it down because they done it to me. So it's really nice to pay it forward, as they say. So
awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, and we hope to see you next time.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.